Okay, so this is my first attempt to give back to the BMW community a little bit because they've helped me a lot. I've seen videos online that have helped me. This is a conversion. I have a 1987 E30 and I'm converting the steering rack from the original E30 to a Z3, which you'll see online is a nice conversion. You have to buy this conversion kit, which is these bolts, this little spacer. This little spacer right here goes in the bigger hole like that. Some of the problems that you're going to run into, number one is just getting this thing off of the steering shaft right up here. So when you go to do that, you can see I drove a screwdriver in there and it bent it a little bit, but that's okay because the spline is in there and that's what's going to grip it. But when you go to get it off, you drive a little screwdriver in there a little bit and you put something behind it against the firewall and try to put some pry pressure on it, and you gotta wiggle it a little bit because those splines are super precise, and if you just pry on it, it'll just bind. So you gotta kind of wiggle it, put lots of WD-40 blaster in there, wiggle it, and it'll come off. If you find yourself pushing too hard, just back off and wiggle it some more. All right, so now the way this thing works is the original one was tight like this. We're going to put a spacer in the middle and shorten the shaft by putting that spacer. This is the spacer right here. So now, once you get that all out, the spacer that I got, it fell right in there just perfectly. So that's great. But these bolts do not go through there. So that's why you've got to get this 25/64 bit. And I put this on a drill press and I held it by hand so that the drill press could kind of find center. And I had to play with it a little bit because you want to make sure this thing doesn't get off center, because the 25/64 is just ever so slightly bigger than the original holes. So you want to try to get them centered. I would not advise doing this without a drill press, but you could. It's probably not that important. Anyway, now the really hard part is once you have the holes drilled out that can take the bolt, you run into a problem. You put the bolt in there, you put the spacer on like this, and you put the other bolt in, and these bolts are just the right length for it to be in the end. You put the other bolt in and the other spacer, and what you're going to find out is then it's just impossible to get them through these holes. Even though these holes are big, they don't even have, those holes take these spacers to really tighten it up. But even with these big holes, you can't get them in. So what you need to do is grind away, and I use this Dremel tool with this little grinding bit. You can't really see it very well, but yeah, there you go. Kind of gets focus. And you can use that. And when you're using this, you have to use a really round motion. And you need a vise. So you can put this in the vise in various directions so that you can kind of get a good control of the Dremel tool. There it is. So that you can, if you can see this, I've dremeled out a bit there, as well as there, and I've done the same on the other side. And you want to do this anyway for the knuckles, because you want to make sure nothing binds. This steering is going to be a little tighter than the original, so you want to make sure that you remove a little bit of metal. It doesn't take very much. And I did the same thing here. You can see I've removed a little metal there and a little metal there on both sides. But now, kind of the point, now you'll see right here, I've removed a little metal there too. So to get the bolts together, you need to remove a little there and a little there. And now you can get close enough in that those bolts will slide through the holes. And once you get them through the holes, once you get them through the holes with the big sleeves on, you'll find, imagine the big sleeve is here. I've got it through the hole because I have enough play here and there that I can get these things through the big hole, these bolts through the big hole. And then the thing will straighten up like this. And then I can take these sleeves and put them on like this, and they'll slide right into place. Let's see if I can, yeah, see that? Slides right into place. And now you can put the final washer and nut on. So that's what you need to do. It takes a Dremel tool and a vise and a lot of patience. But you can do it, and you'll see on other videos what it looks like when it's done. Okay, that's it. Enjoy playing with your BMW.